Thank you for staying with us. This is still Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. Now we move into our conversation, one of the discussions we have lined up for today. I'm starting with the case of the APC and what is going on there right now. On Friday, 27th June 2025, Dr. Abdullahi Ganduje resigned as national chairman of the All Progressive Congress, the APC. This came as a surprise to many, although some sources, some inside sources have said that it wasn't really a surprise, but that the fact that he resigned on Friday made it very abrupt. We understand that the president had actually put pressure on him to resign that position due to some undisclosed rift between Mr. President, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and of course the APC National Chairman, Dr. Abdullahi Ganduje. Finally, on Friday, he tendered his resignation. Initially, it was reported it was on the grounds of ill health. But again, Nigerians, we know that leaders, politicians hardly resign on the grounds of ill health. Afterwards, some revelations came out saying that it wasn't really because of ill health, that there's been some rift between him and Mr. President, and he had to resign. That he was actually, according to some sources, that Abdullahi Ganduje was actually given an ultimatum to resign by Monday, today. But he wasn't pleased with the arrangement, so he decided to resign abruptly on Friday. The APC governors have actually accepted his resignation. They saw it as a welcome development. They also wanted him to leave. Now, this has changed the political dynamics in the party. What happens from now? How do they go forward? How do they move forward from this point? Two names have popped up as possible replacements for Dr. Abdullahi Ganduje. We have Alhaji Umar Tanko Almakura, former Nasarawa State Governor, and of course we also have Senator George Akume, the current secretary to the government of the Federation, SGF. These are the two names that have popped up as possible replacements for Ganduje. But political observers have been saying that as far as Tanko Almakura is concerned, he doesn't really have a personal relationship with the president, and it's quite unusual for Mr. President to, give such a critical position to someone who is not close to him. Which leaves us with Senator George Akume, who is the current SGF, who is also from the North Central. Recall that before now, there have been agitations within the party that Ganduje shouldn't have occupied that position in the first place. Abdullahi Ganduje is from the northwest zone of Nigeria, and that position, according to the APC constitution, was actually zoned to the North Central, talking about the position of the national chairman of the party. But Ganduje was appointed by Mr. President as a personal favor. He was given that position. Now people are saying he should go back to the zone which it was originally meant for, talking about the North Central zone. So who will replace Abdullahi Ganduje? Will it be Senator Umar Tanko Almakura, or will it be Senator George Akume? Or are we in for yet another surprise? Time will tell. And what does it hold for the party? How will this affect the party itself? Now that Ganduje is no more in the picture, will he still remain in the APC? Will it defect? Recall that Ganduje was actually influential in, bringing some other people into the party, helping other, political leaders to defect from their parties to the APC. Now he's no longer APC chairman. Clearly, there's a rift between him and Mr. President, as reported. How will that affect the ruling party and the political space generally in Nigeria? Joining us on the conversation this morning is Dr. Katch Ononuju, DG of Heritage Center, and of course, a public affairs analyst. Good morning, Dr. Ononuju, and thank you for joining us once again on the show this morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I also greet your audience.
Always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here.
All right, Dr. Ononuju. I'm looking at the events over the weekend, the resignation of Alhaji, is also Alhaji Ganduje, Abdullahi Ganduje, as APC national chairman. How do you see this affecting the ruling party going forward? And what are some of the political calculations and assumptions that you think might come into play at this time?
Thank you very much. First, I want to tell you the president is not, I believe, in any bad waters with Chairman Ganduje. No, it all has to do with Kwankwaso. The president would love to have Kano. Don't forget, President Buhari's election, yes, it was contested, but it was put together acrobatically like a carpentry work, and then he was now installed. But now he's now trying to build a coalition that could actually help him win an election. So he thinks he needs Kano. And for Kano to come in, he wants the big fish, and that is Kwankwaso. Kwankwaso does not want to come into a party where his former deputy, today chairman of the APC, Ganduje, will be his head. It also has to do with the struggle for supremacy in Kano. So if Tinubu wants Kwankwaso in the APC, Kwankwaso has given as a condition that Ganduje would not be chairman of his party, because once you come into that party and Ganduje is chairman of the party, of course that means that is your chairman, including chairman over affairs of the party in Kano State. Kwankwaso doesn't want that. So I think now that you have seen the crisis has come about ditching the Kanuri vice president, which is Shetima, and he thinks that what he now needs is a man who is most trusted by Hausas in the north, and that is Kwankwaso. And Kwankwaso, he said, he cannot work in a party where Ganduje will be his chairman. So it has nothing to do with falling out of favor with the president. No. The president simply begged Ganduje, I gave you this job. It was zoned to the North Central, but I got you from the Northwest and put you there. Give me this favor. I want Kwankwaso, and as a condition, leave this position. Don't forget about 2 occasions, Ganduje has been given postings somewhere else, both ministerial, diplomatic. He refused. So it has now reached, at the time of ultimatum, you need to leave before Monday. I want Kwankwaso in. Kwankwaso cannot come in if you are still chairman. So, in anger, he resigned immediately. The governors have nothing to say about it. Everybody is loyally afraid and listening to whatever it is that the president wants. And that's how you see it looks like the party governors are okay to it. They are not part of the deal. It's a private consideration between the president, Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, and Omar Ganduje. And since 2 of them have become, don't forget how they started. They started in a combination, Kwankwaso governor, Ganduje deputy governor. Later on, Ganduje became governor, and then that period of 8 years of estrangement of Kwankwaso from politics. Kwankwaso himself, at the time, he told me that his biggest achievement in the 8 years of Buhari was to stay alive. You know, they see Kwankwaso as another Aminu Kano. And it is exactly for that particular reason that Tinubu wants Kwankwaso. So Kwankwaso will come into the party, and if possible, will help the president bring in Kano. Of course, you can see that the Kano state governorship under the NMPP governor is still loyal to Kwankwaso. So that's what Tinubu wants. And if the price for Tinubu getting Kwankwaso is Ganduje has to go, of course, Ganduje is the president's friend, and he can appeal to him, and that's what he has done. And Ganduje has now left, and so Kwankwaso will now feel free to declare to enter the APC, and then from there, they will take that from there. So it has nothing to do with a rift between the president or Mr. Ganduje. No, the president is simply playing a game. Secondly, I don't think you have to start calling Mr. Akume. No, it's a very important position that the thieves who are the 5th largest tribe in Nigeria, have a position in government. So why do you want to remove him? And as you can see from his rebuttal, he's very happy doing his job as the AGF. We must remember the positions of the indigenous people. The TV are about, after the Hausas, the largest indigenous group we have in that northern Nigeria, even more than the Kanuri. So please, we shouldn't be talking about Akume or try to dislodge the TV man from being an SGF. I think that is comfortable and he's very happy with where he is, where the president kept him. Yes.
Right. And, you know, these are postulations and suggestions in the public space, not from our own end there to say, okay, who will emerge as far as the North Central is concerned, occupying that seat of the national chairman of that party. Now, you have made mention that this is not about rift between these, you know, political friends. That is about horse trading. Now, huge concessions. Give me these, I get that. Get me these, retain your position. And, you know, it's all about the big picture, 2027. So heavy politicking, heavy horse trading going on here. But I want us to look into something rather. That is the process of how powerful the president is. Now, we heard, you know, that was the same power that President Obasanjo wielded while he was in power. In fact, we're told he went to the house of Audu Ogbe, had with him, dined with him, presented him with a paper to sign for resignation, and, you know, it was that powerful. Is it the place? Is it the national politics? Is it our own kind of politics that, you know, the process of emergence of the national chairman of a party, there is a process. When he's about to be removed or you want to resign, there is a process. But the situation in which the number one...
What you're seeing now...
Please hold on, sir. The situation in which a number one can unilaterally say, I want this man, I want this one out, is it still normal politics? Because don't you think that's too much power that Mr. President or anybody occupying that position can wield? They can just come up one day and say, I don't want this man anymore. Let this one be. Is that right, actually?
Well, it's very good that we have brought up this issue.
Yeah.
What you must ask yourself is, what is it that the president has become? I can tell you straightforward. The president has become so powerful right now that nobody in Nigeria can challenge him. Because of the way the democracy is also arranged, the president has incredible power right now that I can tell you that none of the governors can dare. Just look at only their mentioning to governors, I would love you to come to my party. You're seeing how many governors without anything are coming over because of the stench of state capture that we have got into is so overwhelming. It's no more democracy. As I speak to you right now, in line with what has happened in Akwa Ibom State, the governor of Bayelsa also is going to cross over to the APC.
Really?
So if all the governors are this afraid of the president and his powers, that suddenly they are no more confident that the democracy can protect them, doesn't that tell you something? Something definitely is happening in our country. Just through the president's wishes, governors will not convert. Now, that tells you how bad it is. If you don't like it, what did you do when Buhari acrobatically did what he did in the 2023 election and then imposed Tinubu? If you kept quiet then, didn't say anything then continue to stay mute. Because when we knew something wrong is happening and nobody talked, they thought we were just screaming. You can see what it has now created. A president that has so much power that nobody can think of any period in our country's history under this current incipient democracy that a president has had this kind of powers. Because all just telling you, look, if you don't cross to my state, I can't guarantee you're going to win your state. That simply makes Soludo more APC than Nicholas Okachukwu. Do you understand what I'm saying this now? So it's either we agree to strengthen the opposition or we will continue to go around in this kind of circles. And I blame
Dr.
the
Katch,
politicians
some have
who
said
destroyed
Obasanjo was this powerful as well. Dr. Katch, some say Obasanjo wielded so much power as well, and so what Tinubu is doing is not new. You don't agree?
No, not this kind of power. Obasanjo never, ever, ever, in his 8 years of president, wielded this kind of power. Never. If you and Obasanjo don't agree, yeah, you can abuse him. You remember, Kano was challenging him. Who amongst the governors today can talk to President Tinubu like this? Nobody who is looking for. And Kano did this against Obasanjo, yet Kano still went on to win election under the PPA. You can't do that to Tinubu. I could just go there and make sure you don't even get up to 200.
All right. All right, Doctor.
Or the acrobatics in it.
All right, Dr. Nonuju. Now, coming back to the case of the APC national chairman, you have made it clear, according to you, that there is no rift between him and Mr. President. That is just a political game being played. But apparently, Ganduje is not happy about it. Like you said, he resigned angrily, abruptly on Friday because he didn't like the arrangement. Now, talking about the Vice President of Nigeria, Kashim Shettima, recently, his supporters rather have been pushing that they want their man to remain there. So where does that leave the supporters of Kashim Shettima? Talking about bringing in Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso to replace him. Apparently, I left that out in the introduction. I wanted to bring it in later. Some people are saying Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso would be replacing Shettima as vice president. Of course, we all know how powerful Kwankwaso is in Kano State, and the Kwankwasia movement, who are also, very loyal to him. So where does that leave Kashim Shettima? Where does that leave?
Well, you need to understand, Tinubu is trying to construct an alliance that can garner votes. What votes would Kashim Shettima bring? Kashim Shettima is Kanuri. He doesn't really have that strong following amongst the Kanuris, who are in 13 local governments in Borno and a few in Yobe. What else? And if you know the ethnic politics that we are involved in, but Kwankwaso is a political powerhouse. Kwankwaso is such a behemoth that the Hausa-speaking population of Nigeria, who happen to be the largest ethnicity in northern Nigeria, are seeing Kwankwaso as their new Aminu Kano. So that's why Kwankwaso is seen as an electoral vote-getting cow.
Like a mascot.
That you just don't compare to Shettima. Leave that alone. So I understand this politics, and I'm telling you why.
All right, Dr. Nonuju. Please hold on, Dr. Nonuju.
You don't compare the two of them. They're not the same.
All right. Now, some political observers are saying that if it was just about Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, then Ganduje should have resigned earlier. When Kwankwaso actually visited the villa, that Ganduje should have left earlier if it was just about Kwankwaso. What do you say to that?
Well, the issues that are today in this space, like seeing the fight from the Northeast caucus of the APC, where Mr. Shettima does have influence, and suddenly with those people doing what they're doing, and the president understanding that whoever made the announcement to endorse just the president and not togetherly in the Tinubu-Shettima joint ticket, then you start asking yourself, what's going on? If you really don't find Shettima as somebody that Tinubu can use, who is the next person? And that's probably why Tinubu now woke up and said, Ganduje, say, that thing I told you before, say yes, this is when we have to do it. And the man said, this is when I want to do it. Please do this for me, you're my friend. I put you there from the Northwest, even though the position was for the North Central. Do it for me. And he just understood that. He did it. So that is what friendship is. Ganduje is a loyal friend to Tinubu, and that's why he did Tinubu that favor. It's simply a favor for Tinubu, for him to feel comfortable in negotiating with Kwankwaso as a possible replacement for Shettima. What is Shettima's claim to being nominated as VP? Tell me. Tell me now. being responsible for the schoolgirls kidnapped, is that? For those things are past. There's nothing wrong with us constructing brand new platforms to actually, base our political calculation on. So I think that was the past. The years of using violence to win election, I don't think is the best. And those who were the masterminds of the violence for election are actually right now up in arms against Tinubu. So if the premise is trying to use the old strategy of violence against good Lord's government as a strategy towards winning an election, in which a lot of people participated, we're past that stage. Tinubu is now trying to build a coalition that will win elections through votes.
So Dr. Katch, you're saying there is absolutely, are you saying categorically that there is absolutely no rift between Ganduje and Mr. President, and you don't see Ganduje, working against Mr. President in the future?
I personally know there is no rift. I also know about this particular constitution that I'm telling you now, and I know how it came. I grew in the North. I understand the politics of the North. Governor Kwankwaso and Governor Ganduje are well known to me. Governor Kwankwaso is my personal person, and I know how he suffered in the 8 years of Buhari's rule. And I know now that he has been seen to be as popular as he is with the Hausa population. My brother, Hausas are about 85% of Kano. Hausas are also there in Katsina, Zamfara, Sokoto, up to 85, 87, 90% in most of these states. So if a man who seems to have the followership of Hausas, like they followed Aminu Kano, is in Kwankwaso, and the president now thinks he can use that Kwankwaso for.
Oh, I'm afraid we
compare Kwankwaso and Shetima. There is no basis.
All right.
They're not the same.
Dr. Katch, because of time, now there has been a reaction to that. It just
doesn't belong to this place.
All right. There's been a reaction to development from the APC government.
Tinubu is making very, very same and safe assumptions and postulations.
All right. Now, if you can hear me, Dr. Katch, there has been a response or reaction to the latest development in the APC as regards Ganduje's removal or resignation from the progressive governors, and they have called it that is part of the party's evolution. Now, let me quote what the chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum and governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma, said in that communique signed by the chief press secretary to the governor. He said this meeting provided a crucial platform to harmonize development strategies, reinforce, he was talking about at their Governors Forum, APC Governors Forum. And when it was time to talk about the development, he said, His Excellency, Dr. Abdullahi Ganduje's resignation is in tandem with the party's continued evolution. And they are suggesting a strategic move within the party's framework rather than a crisis. And he said, while no further details were immediately provided on the specific of Mr. Ganduje's departure, the emphasis is on evolution, and he says an internal repositioning to strengthen the party's future. So, Dr. Katch, this appears to be like all the governors are in support and they are aware of what is happening. Is that right?
Yes. It tells you the party is trying to evolve from a party that gets power through grab it, snatch it, and run with it, to a party that will now get power through actual voting. So if a party is targeting the Hausa population in the north, that's a very good one. The Hausas are the largest single ethnicity in northern Nigeria. And Dr. Rabiu Kwankwaso is the most popular front-leaning politician now who does represent the interests of the Hausa front in northern Nigeria. No one else does what he does for the Hausas. He pays money to have them go to school, go to Nigerian University. Kwankwaso is the largest single customer of Nigerian University. Why? He puts Hausa people there. And don't forget, this says Hausa people are the ones that some people in the north do not want to gain access to education because they have numbers. If they get access to education, you know what that means. Those who are now running a hegemony are afraid the Hausa has to come and displace them. But Kwankwaso paying so much Hausas to be at.
All right. Doctor.
So he is a well-loved person amongst the Hausa population, and that
Dr.
is
Katch,
what the president
quickly
is
put
playing
in
on.
this, is now you have said the horse trading, and that's the president would rather sacrifice, quote and unquote, now a Ganduje for a Kwankwaso. Now, noted. But the thing is, so where does Kwankwaso come in as far as the national chairman of the APC is concerned? He can't emerge as the party chairman. So how does this play out?
No, that's not where the president is not looking at party chairman.
Vice President.
The president is looking at using Kwankwaso for something broader, something bigger. Once Kwankwaso comes in now,
are you
that
suggesting
means
as the VP?
It can be anything. Once he is an influential, said one, it ends the internal crisis in Kano. Two, there are a set of politicians who are pulling out their support from Tinubu. If those Fulanis pull it out, and then Kwankwaso can bring in the houses, that's a beautiful one for votes. So the president is calculating well. I don't see anything wrong with that calculation. If you don't take Kwankwaso, someone else will take him. But, of course, Kwankwaso is difficult to manage. So president will also understand taking Kwankwaso also means having a very difficult person he will manage. I know Kwankwaso personally. He is something else. Okay, but of course you can situate anybody. It's like having a very, very, very handsome woman. I mean, beautiful woman, but very, very with some crazy ideas and manners that we must learn to live with. The president must learn to live with Kwankwaso, as Kwankwaso is. We who have been his allies and friends have known him to be that way. He's difficult, but he is a good man to have in your.
All right, Dr. Ononuju. You have said it all. Looking at Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, a lot of political observers and analysts have said that he might most likely be replacing Kashim Shettima as vice president. That's the most probable role he might be playing. Now, hypothetically speaking, if that happens, if Kwankwaso were to replace Kashim Shettima as VP for Tinubu in 2027, how do you see this position in the APC? Do you think this will put the APC in a better position to win the elections?
It will put APC in a better position with the Hausa population. You see, our politics have what you call the identity tag on it. Different tribal groups, different caucuses, different religious organizations find what they want in different areas. There are those who don't like Tinubu because they suspect he may dabble into regionalism. There are those who don't like regionalism, so they will fight him for that. There are those who don't like Tinubu because he may actually stop the current Fulani war machine. There are those who also will want him if he's going to show that he will fight to stop those militias who are now killing people across northern Nigeria. Of course, you should understand he didn't go to Benue to start making the mistake of saying it's internal communal clashes. Oh no, those are things people told him to say. But the real politics is he should tell the soldiers, like he said, why are there no arrests? The minute he said, why are there no arrests, you saw arrest occurred. So that means a lot follows the president's body language and instructions to actually occur. So once he said, why were there no arrests in 48 hours, you saw a lot of people arrested. That just tells you a lot happens in the country as a consequence of influence. So if you're not talking about VP-ship, Kwankwaso brings more advantage to any ticket in calculations about the North than anywhere else.
Dr. Ononuju, let's look at the bigger picture here. Right now, politicians are even making calculations and projections for 2031. Look at the bigger picture. Do you think positioning Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso as VP such that when Tinubu is gone, he can easily run for 2031? Do you see that as a viable calculation on the part of the APC?
Well, the problem is that would have been a good thing if you tell me, but in our politics, once you're somebody's VP, it's like a process of you being degraded. every vice president gets degraded by the time the tenure of his president.
But Tinubu has only one tenure left. That's if he wins. He has only just one tenure left. If he wins.
You will agree with me that Shetima didn't even run one full term before they started degrading him. What about Osibanjo? How long did it take before the degrading started? What about Atiku? How long did he go before the degrading come? So the degradation occurs as a consequence of who the president is. If you have a gentleman like Goodluck, okay, could just allow his VP to feel free. But Tinubu is not that. Tinubu is 100% plotting every time, planning ahead. Look at what he's done in Rivers. Okay, makes it as if it's okay, he's asking the governor to go back. But no, the man has been stripped with all the powers a governor should have as a consequence of his disagreement with his godfather. So what I'm trying to tell you is this. If you become a VP, bear it in mind that you likely will be degraded before the term ends. All right. Once you are a vice president too.
We take your part in short right now, and I will take that from what your friend P2B have been saying. He has been slamming the president very hard of recent. Firstly, he released a statement and said Nigeria is at war. He slammed the leaders, the president. Yesterday, he came back hard as well and said he's so much perplexed that he doesn't want to believe that anybody in the position of authority, more so the president, on whose table the buck stops, will contemplate a leisure trip at this time. He said the president has just gone on holiday. He said, no, Mr. President, this is not the time for holiday. And Mr. President is in St. Lucia on an official trip, you know, bilateral agreement meetings and all of those things. But Mr. Peter Obi said, this is not the time for that. You are holidaying. Why is your friend doing this at this time?
Well, I think it's a very good thing. What makes democracies work is the availability of a viral opposition. So Peter is doing his job and he's doing it very, very well. The president must be interrogated as to why he thinks he should be going right now to St. Lucia while there's a war raging across Nigeria. The Fulani war across Nigeria is still on. The president just returned the other day from Benue State. What has he done to stop the killings in Benue Plateau and other parts of the country? So people can't just be displaced and then you're traveling to St. Lucia. What strategic interest do we get from St. Lucia? Okay, you want, is it, as the presidency said, they want to rekindle the historical linkage that Nigerians have with the blacks who were shipped originally
the Caribbean,
to those West Indies as slaves? What exactly is the advantage of Nigeria with St. Lucia and other places now that there is a war on back in Nigeria? That's all he's asking. And that, I believe, is a very, very good question for the opposition to pose it.
Thank you very much. Dr. Katch, this is an ongoing conversation, and of course, Nigeria must work in our own time. The DG Heritage Center Public Affairs Analyst, Dr. Katch, thank you for your time this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome. And of course, we take this brief break. When we return, the tax laws is no more a bill, it's an act of the parliament to take off in 2026. Nigerians, what do you need to know? What is the need for you? You will get all of that after now. Stay with us.